Hello, everyone. My name is Tim Russell, Vice President, Community Engagement and Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for WTTW and WFMT, and welcome to Firsthand Living in Poverty reunion event. Just over a year ago, WTTW began filming Firsthand Living in Poverty, the third installment of our award-winning digital series. In Firsthand Living in Poverty, we followed the stories of 5 people experiencing intergenerational poverty, offering unique insight into the challenges that can make it difficult to escape this cycle. We also got a glimpse into possible solutions, from a guaranteed income experiment to a workforce development project to a neighborhood exploration program. Over the course of the past 7 months, we've had the opportunity to hear from community residents, educators, business leaders, policymakers, lawyers, and our documentary subjects regarding specific issues of living in poverty. Today, we have the honor to hear from 4 Chicagoans who are featured in the documentary, the series director and associate producer. We will hear from them firsthand about their experience participating in the production and how they and their families are doing now, 1 year later. Today's conversation will be moderated by Firsthand executive producer, Dan Protest. Community engagement for Firsthand Living in Poverty is made possible with leadership support from the Caris Foundation, Inc. Additional support for Firsthand Living in Poverty community engagement is provided by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. A special thanks to our supporters. Lead support for Firsthand Living in Poverty is provided by the Granger Foundation and Becky and Lester Knight, the Knight Family Foundation. Major support is also provided by Jim and Kay Mabey, Randy and Carrie McMillan, Butler Family Foundation, Denny and Sandy Cummings, the Harry and Jeanette Weinberg Foundation, Lou Collins, Edwardson Family Foundation, Mark and Jean Malnati Family Foundation, Kristen Carlson Vogan and Sean Vogan, and the Duncan Family Foundation. Finally, members and viewers like you make it possible for WTTW to bring provocative ideas to life, to tackle the issues that matter and to expand our perspectives on the world in which we live. There's only one reason why this is possible, and that reason is you. Thank you for your support. After the video, please welcome Firsthand executive producer, Dan Protest. Thank you.
I need money to move out. I need money for a car. I need money to get my license. But I mean, if I look at it all like that, I get overwhelmed.
I couldn't even buy my kids nothing for Christmas because I had to choose between making that car payment or getting them something.
It's like you worrying and you going through day-to-day life with so much that you face with.
I feel like I'm constantly playing catch up all the time. I'll get so far and then something else will get thrown at me.
I don't want my kids to feel like they stuck in a trap. You know, I want them to go see the world.
I want to get out of the neighborhood. I want to get my family out of the neighborhood.
sometimes when you're a mother, you just have to keep pushing no matter what.
I love my daughter. I know she loves me. I want a better life for her.
I look to God to take care of me and my family. I know some way, somehow, that He'll make a way for me to make ends meet.
I took the opportunity that was given and built something a little better out of it.
I try to remain optimistic, and somebody could say, I'll give you a chance.
You failed. It's okay. Get back up. It's not in the falling. It's in the getting back up that makes you who you are.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dan Protest, the executive producer of the WTTW series Firsthand Living in Poverty. And welcome to all of our guests. We have the 4 stars of our series: Patricia Jackson Walker, Melissa Fonseca, Andino Medina, and Gary Ladoff. And we also have 2 of the people who work behind the scenes on the series: Pat Odom, the director and producer of Firsthand Living in Poverty, and Jessica Martinaitis, the associate producer of the series. Hi, everyone, and thanks for being here.
Hi.
Let's start with Patricia, Melissa, Andino, and Gary, and feel free to chime in, any of you who may have thoughts about this. When you first heard that the series was going to be about poverty, did any of you have any misgivings or worries about being featured in the series? You know, it's kind of implying that you are the face of poverty. Anyone have any concerns?
Yes, I did. I wasn't sure if I was ready to let the world see my inside of the struggles, or how I'm living, or, you know, where I was working, or the minimum wage that I said I received, and the struggles I had to deal with my kids. And like, if any of their classmates seen it, would they be judged? Would they be bullied? But I felt like it was presented to me. And it was my story to tell, regardless on how somebody might feel about it. This is life, and this is my story, and people need to know.
Let me ask about the flip side of that. Was it in a way liberating for any of you to be able to proudly and really publicly express who you are? I think that's kind of what Melissa was hinting at. Did any of you have that feeling?
Yeah, it felt good to have some type of positivity come into people's lives and into the world, something that they can look at, that can be encouraging, and let them know that, you know, you're not the only one that's going through, you know, certain situations and trials and tribulations, and we can all, you know, get up and get through it as one. So it was good to, you know, see the positive side also, as well as the negative side, because in the end, both of them help you make you who you are.
Pat, what was your pitch to the documentary participants about why they should participate? It sounds like Melissa in particular had some misgivings.
Well, you know, it was a very difficult thing. You know, there's a stigma associated to the word poverty. So I think what Jess and I did is we tried to explain it without explicitly using that word because of the stigma. So I think we talked to people more about sort of, you know, being in a struggling financially, economically, and how those issues can hold you, about the issues that can really hold you back. And so I think we kind of went soft on that, but eventually, I mean, I think everyone understood. But some of the people I think were prepared because we did have a communication that went out in email. But I think that it took a little time probably to make it clear that this was about, and then they had to make a decision on whether they move forward.
Jessica, the title is Living in Poverty, but originally it was just going to be Poverty. And you actually are responsible for us ultimately changing the title. Why did you have misgivings about the original title?
Yeah, I think it was, Pat kind of hinted at it earlier, right? Or just said it, that there's an association or kind of a stigma associated with poverty. And it was really important that we kind of show language is decisive, right? That this is not an adjective, but living in poverty is a circumstance. And immediately the viewer then knows that. And they're not necessarily the face of poverty itself, right? But they're actually just people who are living in a circumstance and sharing about, what that's like, so.
When we launched the series, all four of you were featured on billboards. Did any of you get reactions from your friends or neighbors? What was that
I got
like?
plenty of reactions, from everybody, from friends, from people at work. Actually, a person at work was the first one that told me. He was like, hey, I was driving down, coming home from work, and I saw you on a billboard. I was like, what? You saw me where?
Yeah, me too. Somebody actually came into my job and asked me for my autograph.
Andino, was it positive? Was it positive?
Oh yeah. It was all positive. Because after that, they viewed the documentary and they talked to me about it and everything else. They're like, hey, I would have never known if, why didn't you ever say anything? And I was like, it's not something I just tell people,
Right. Yeah, it made people want to know what the story was about.
Right.
Looking at the billboard, it made them want to know, made them want to go and watch and want to tune in. So it was all positive.
Yeah.
Any negative comments? Any of you?
From the billboard? Or the story itself?
You had some. What did you hear, Melissa?
I didn't hear. I see, like you said, you don't want to answer dumb questions, but I went and read some of them. And this one guy was saying something about like, it's your responsibility to pay your car payment. If you took out a loan, you're entitled to pay it and all this. Like he was saying some crazy stuff about how I was responsible for taking care of my car payments and stuff. And I was like, I never said I didn't pay it. I didn't never say I didn't pay it. That's not what I said. So he just continued to comment and go on and on, like back and forth with me on Facebook. I just had to block him. Like I had to block him.
Melissa, your story has in particular generated a lot of discussion on social media. I looked this morning and there were 300,000 comments on YouTube.
Whoa.
Many of them positive.
I gotta go see them.
Wow.
I didn't even look.
So some of them are positive and some are, as you just suggested, kind of blaming you for your situation. So I guess you already said what you make of those comments, but does that give you pause at all before you think about if someone were to come to you next week and with another opportunity to be in another documentary, would you reconsider knowing that you're going to get negative comments?
No, I'm going to do it because you know what? The people who saying the stuff that they're saying haven't lived in our shoes, so they don't know what it feels like. I would ask them to ask themselves first, have they lived in my shoes? Have they walked in my steps? And if until they can't say they have, I don't feel like they should really comment on the little bits and pieces that they see, which you guys aired. You can't get my whole life in months, but the comments that some people make, they don't know the real story. They're only knowing bits and pieces of what we said to them. They don't know the full story, but if I can give them the full story, I will. But I feel like some comments shouldn't be made if they, only if they really wanted to know, ask a question, and I will go on there and read them and I'll answer.
Gary, have you read any of the comments on your story on social media? I saw there were quite a few on YouTube.
Yeah, I actually just the other day recently started going through them. A lot of them were a lot of good positive feedback, people trying to reach out to me and help me. And I've connected with a few people. And then I've gotten some very, nasty comments, which don't really bother me at all. But I mean, I've read comments as far as people even saying that, oh, good thing he's dead now. I saw several like that saying, oh, good thing he passed away. Other people telling me I should give my daughter up for adoption. Don't have kids when you're poor. But it doesn't really bother me though, because I mean, I'm not one to really care about how people judge me, as long as I do what I need to do to take care of my daughter and handle my own. But I mean, other than that, like I've got so many people that I've connected with and networked with because of it.
Jessica, when I first started making documentaries a million years ago, we didn't have social media. We'd get mail and I would photocopy the mail and send it to people who were featured in the documentary. Now we have this feedback machine that can be really ugly at times. As a young filmmaker, how do you feel about the media environment that we're working in?
Yeah, I mean, this is all really disappointing to hear about some of the things that people have been saying. But on the other side of that, if you can reach one person, right? Like, so some people are going to watch and they're going to come in with their preconceived notions and they're going to keep them. All we can hope for is that maybe we open up the minds of a fraction, even a percentage. I actually hope for like 95%, but I'll settle for a little bit more. That comes with the territory. But when you're working with such strong human beings as these four people are, I'm glad that they just let it kind of slide off their shoulders, because ignorance will persist, but there's still some good people out there. And I do think that we made an impact, and as a young filmmaker, to answer your question, it's I think it's par for the course. And you just have to keep your mind on what the impact is going to be.
Let's take a minute now to watch some of Melissa's story. This is from Firsthand Living in Poverty, which you can watch at wttw.com/firsthand.
Every day is just about the same thing. Every day I get the same routine. You get up, you go to work, come home, you cook dinner, and go to bed and do the same thing. I'm working at Walgreens. I've been working at Walgreens for about 17 years now. I started off as a cashier, and now I'm a photo specialist there. When I first started at Walgreens, I was making $7.20 an hour. We got a raise like once a year. It could have been somewhere around a quarter to maybe 50 cents was the most.
How you doing today?
I am good. How you doing today?
Trying to say cool. It's so hot outside.
It is. It's very hot out there. I'm waiting. Then after that, they raised the minimum wage up. It went up to like $13. After being there for over 10 years, I wasn't even at $13. So it was like a slap in all our face to know that, like, you've been there all these years and you're still making the same thing as people who just getting hired. It was tough. I'm not able to live off of minimum wage. I had times where I can literally get paid that morning, and by the afternoon, my whole check was gone. I would never want my kids to see the worries that I have. I'm not gonna have gas for the next couple days. I'm gonna have to make this gas that I do have there and stretch. I couldn't take my kids to McDonald's if they asked for it. I couldn't give them money to go to the book fair at school because I didn't have it. Because it was either going towards rent or a certain bill. I barely get by.
Oh, you want some of what? Oh, we don't need a shopping cart. Mommy's just gonna get a few things. Ooh, grab that one.
I would like to see a change of employment.
I got it.
But what else could I be doing with the education I have?
I need two more. There we go.
You can't get hired with just a high school diploma. I don't feel like I'm smart enough to go to school, but I feel like if I wanted something better than a minimum wage job, I have to get a higher education.
Oh, okay. What you gonna get? You gonna get candy or you want chips?
And it's like, how can you get it?
You gonna get one, Mike?
I get two.
You can't try to work on yourself and also have a job and be a parent too. So it's like something's gonna have to be pushed to the side.
Thank you. Who's gonna help with the bag? Come on, let's go.
Pat, tell us the story of how you found Melissa. We had 4 documentary subjects lined up. And then at the last second, Melissa kind of appeared out of thin air. Tell that story.
Yeah, well, I was in Humboldt Park and I was at a little cafe, and there was a police officer sitting next to me, and he was talking about some of the issues in Humboldt Park and how, that, he believes that some, the violence and some of the things going on are a result of, people living in poverty. And I was like, my ears, perked up. And I said, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? And I said, we are looking for people, and this would be a great community to find somebody. And he, I said, do you know of anyone who might be a good candidate? And he's like, you know what? There's someone I know. She's been working at Walgreens. I've known her for years. And I think that she's a great person, but she's really struggling. And I think she would be a great story. So this beat cop named Officer Pete Rodriguez connected us with Melissa. And so I'm really grateful to him because Melissa was just really great to work with.
Melissa, it becomes clear from your story that it's really hard for you to support your family with what you're paid at Walgreens. Did you get any reaction to your story from Walgreens, from your managers, or maybe even from the company itself?
I didn't hear anything from my company at all, but I heard they got feedback about it, but nobody from there had came to me and, said anything. They didn't adjust my pay. None of that had happened. My manager that I work for now, yeah, she was, a little upset about what's going on, but she personally can't really do anything. It's more of corporate. Mm-hmm. I did want to bring it to them and bring it to their attention, but I just heard the other day that they gave somebody a 55-cent raise because they've been with the company for like a year and they weren't happy that minimum wage went up to $15 and they've been working hard. And I'm like, I've been there for 17 years and I'm making $15. I'm making what they're making. So how did they get 55 cents more? And I don't understand how they find that fair. Okay. But then now I see it like they really don't care for their employees. And I'm sad that I've been there that long, but I'm learning they do not care for their employees because nobody from the company have reached out to me. And actually, one of the district managers knew that I was filming because you guys, they had to come into Walgreens and film me, and I signed off on it. And they said they were going to watch the documentary. I don't even know if they did.
I was very surprised actually that they allowed us to film at Walgreens, but I guess that's to their credit. What did all of your kids make of the series?
My kids loved to see their commercial when it was airing.
I mean, Patricia and Melissa, your kids are old enough that they're actually able to understand Andino, and Gary's kids are younger. Yeah. What did they make of it?
We all watched it together as a family when it first came out, and they loved it. They loved watching it. They had questions, of course, about certain things because we watched some of the, the other stories and as well. So they asked questions, but for the most part, they was just like, my son was like, "Mommy, you was very inspiring," and he told me he did this and said, "I look good too." On camera, and they just loved it. They love seeing themselves, they love seeing their auntie, and they was pretty much happy about it.
Patricia, I want to show the start of your documentary now. Again, this is from Firsthand Living in Poverty. You can watch it at wttw.com/firsthand.
There you go.
Turn it around, baby.
Yeah, yours that way, David.
Yeah, that way. Come on, man. I need y'all to get this together, man.
And we got it.
There you go.
Hi, sisters. Hey, you got the big connect phone. Hey, brother. Hey.
This is the house that I grew up in.
It's gonna rain on y'all head. Mama said it's gonna rain on y'all head.
My parents bought it back in the early 90s. All of my siblings grew up here. All 13 of us. 6 girls, 7 boys.
Trina, I know you heard me tell you come help me.
We made it work. The girls shared a room, the boys shared a room, and my parents had a room. The house was always full. Not only my siblings, but my cousins, they came over. Our home was the house to be at. We played games. We played hide go seek in the dark. We went outside, jump rope. You knew you was gonna have fun. You knew you was gonna laugh. You knew you was gonna eat.
That boy is smoking.
Yeah, D.
So, baby, these two
That's
my
son. Them right here?
Yeah. Okay, as soon as it come off, I want it. Go bring me a plate for my mama. I want the monster. Bring me that monster.
Like my grandmother, when she cooked, the whole block could come and get a plate.
Who else want a hot dog?
And that's what my mama did. It was like, if we don't have enough, she gonna make it enough.
You want a hot dog, beautiful?
I just grew up in a house with love.
Patricia, we do our best to capture reality on camera. That's our job. But there's obviously a difference between reality and what our viewers see. Are there things you wish we would have captured, or are there ways that the documentary didn't quite capture the real you, or is that the real you?
That's me. They got me in a row. I wasn't trying to do anything different, act no certain way. I'm who I am. And they got me how I was. They captured everything that me and my family that we do on a day-to-day basis. My work life, my church life, that's who I am. My work, church, and family. That's me. So they capture everything 100%.
Pat, so that was the first few minutes of Patricia's story, and there's no mention of her financial situation at all. We just kind of get to know her family there. That was very intentional, right?
Yeah, because what we want to do is create empathy for the audience to be able to see the person we're portraying is somebody who's just like them. We all have the same needs and wants, and we have families, and we love one another, and we would rather people connect before we get into these issues that sometimes divide us, as you know, has been pointed out with the social media. So it's a way of getting to feel for the character that you're about to hear more about.
And for all of you, you sat and talked with Pat for many, many hours, and Jessica for this project, often about really personal matters. What was that experience like? Was it helpful or maybe in any way therapeutic, or was it sometimes painful or difficult?
It was very helpful for me because at the time I was going through a couple of losses in my family that I was going through with my dad and my grandmother. So sometimes it makes a difference and it helps when you talk to like an outsider other than like your family who really don't know what's going on. So like the advice and the encouragement of somebody else's sympathy and, feeling everything that you feel and having words of encouragement to help you through your situations, it helps better. Like they say, going to a therapist who don't know you or your situation, it helps you sometimes get through. So talking to Jessica and Pat, it was so much therapy for me. Like we could talk, we can relate to certain things, and they was just there doing a real rough time of my life. So we really connected, and like they're like family to me now. Like they, we connect on another level. So yeah, it was great talking to both of them.
Gary, what about for you? You were discussing a lot of personal matters, your childhood, your struggles with addiction. Was it difficult to talk with Pat about some of that?
At first I was a little shy and timid about everything, but Pat never pressured anything, nor did Jess. And developed like a really good relationship between them, especially Pat. He's always been somebody that I can reach out to. Still to this day, I talk to him. He never, anything I was uncomfortable with or anything like that, he never was like, oh, come on, we got to do this, we got to do that. He's a really good person. They're very, very genuine.
Yes.
Like I said, they're family. Like like Patricia said, they're family. They really are.
Jessica, as producers and filmmakers, we do kind of sometimes develop a family-like relationship with our participants. And, you know, it feels like a friendship or like a member of a family. Is it a friendship or is it supposed to be something different? Is it okay to be friends?
I personally think that it is, you know, we're being given such a gift, you know, their story is a gift. And I think in order to really, I don't know, to really tell it well, like there must be some sort of connection with the person whose story you're telling. That's how you do it justice. So I'm not sure if every documentarian would say that, but I think as this series probably shows, Pat probably feels the same way, that like it works and it really does justice to the people that whose story we're telling.
Andino, your story touched on some especially personal matters. Let's have a look at a piece of your story right now where we learn about your relationship with your daughter. Again, you can watch this at WTTW.com/firsthand.
Hey, Eva, you want to go outside?
Let's go outside. Yes, we're gonna go outside. All right, let's go see the flowers.
Elmo's World.
Today I'm going to visit my sister Irene because she has custody of my daughter Eva.
Is that a dinosaur?
I could visit 6 hours a week.
Dinosaur.
It could be split up 2 or 3 days a week, but it is a total of 6 hours a week.
That's my baby. Give me your hand. This one.
Somebody has to be there, whether my sister or a family member or DCFS. I can't be with my daughter alone because my daughter was born with drugs in her system.
Look at the flowers.
And then being neglected, left at the hospital because I went to jail and her mother was out on the streets because of an addiction problem and being homeless. I mean,
For me?
couldn't care for herself, let alone a newborn.
My baby gave me a flower.
So I called my sister while I was in jail, and I told my sister, you have to go get my daughter. And that's when Irene told me, she was like, I'm already on it. Since November of 2018, Irene's been the parent.
You're so big. Look at you, so big. You're so big. Ready?
My sister Irene was never angry at Eva.
Okay.
Never. She was extremely angry with me. For my daughter being born with drugs in her system, she was extremely angry at me. She's like, I don't see how anybody could do this.
Here, go with Daddy.
I never thought about me doing it, you know? Never in a million years, you know? But they happened.
Put it in there, all the way.
And she was like, look, don't think that you're just gonna pop up on my doorstep and see Eva. And that hurt me.
Look at the bubbles. Ah, look at the bubbles.
She's extremely attached to my sister. That's a little hurtful for my pride. You know, that should be me.
Get it.
Where'd it go?
Where'd it go?
Boop. What I want right now is to have full custody of my daughter.
1, 2, 3.
Ah, look at right there. Look at the big bubbles. Whoa.
I don't just want custody of her. I want the best relationship with her.
Again? Say yes. Yes.
I want to be the one she runs to all the time.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Look at that one.
Andino, that is so deeply personal. How does it feel to know that that's out there for people to watch?
It's very humbling, I'll tell you that. It still touches me. But it's true. That was the story. I mean, and that was the past, you know. Thank God I have a beautiful relationship with my daughter right now. It's still DCFS custody, but it's a lot better, you know. it's a whole lot better. And, you know, she runs to me, and, you know, like I said, we have a beautiful relationship now. But it is very humbling experience to put that out there. And then, it was a little scary, you know, to that basically the world know, right? The world know about what happened. And like I said in the documentary, it is something that happened. No. But like I said, my relationship with her is a lot better now. And things are looking good. A lot better.
For the rest of you, as you watch your stories, are there things that you wish that we had not captured in the documentary? Are there things that you don't want to have to rewatch?
I say with me, I never really shared with my kids about me being shot when I was younger. So it was something new for them to have to learn. I mean, I'm not ashamed of it. I just wasn't really prepared or ready to answer questions about it. But I am glad that it was said and, you know, I shared it. I just wasn't ready for the questions.
Do any of you feel like you learned anything about yourself watching your own story on TV?
But yeah, I didn't, you know, growing up, I didn't view myself as living in poverty growing up. But
all of us didn't.
You know, it kind of it opened my eyes to know that yeah, you know, I am living in poverty. I did grow up somewhat in poverty, you know, even though I had a roof over my head and you know, I had a mother and a father, but still they struggled. I never really looked at their struggle, you know, and this helped me realize my dad's struggle and my mother's struggle for, you know, bringing me up as a child.
Pat, sometimes it's really not in a person's best interests to talk to the media. And in fact, there were moments when our subjects stopped picking up the phone when you called. And yet it's our job to get them to pick up the phone and to get their story on camera. Talk about that tension. Did you ever feel bad about calling our subjects when it was clear that they just kind of needed space?
Yeah, you know, there's times where, you know, this is a job and you know there's things you have to do. And, but it really felt like an intrusion at times to keep trying to get a hold of people. But, you know, I think myself and Jess, we were very patient. We didn't pressure people to do anything. You know, they're volunteers and they're giving us a gift. And I think that we waited patiently and they came back. And every time we would kind of lose touch with someone, and you guys probably didn't know this, but you didn't know how meaningful that was to me to reconnect, because, you know, we don't know. Sometimes it was radio silence. We didn't know what was going on. We were worried about you, or we were like, did we do something, you know? But I'm so happy that we had that great relationship, that you did stick with us, and we were able to finish this and tell your stories.
I remember our panic when Gary disappeared there for a while. Gary, you were going through a lot of personal turmoil as we were filming. Let's have a look at Gary's story now, where he's been injured and he's fighting with his daughter's mom. Again, really personal material. You can watch the full story at WTTW.com/firsthand.
A few days ago, I started off at a new job as a forklift driver, and they had me do like service on the forklifts, and it ended up just like coming down on my hand.
I was really excited about the job because I just come from working in a kitchen
washing dishes and prepping food, just miserable work. And I got there and it was paid more. I was excited, and it happened like on the second or third day, and I was like, are you serious? Like, I just start and then this happens. So it kind of put a damper on everything that I had planned behind this new job. It's so hard having this cast on with my daughter. Trying to change her, everything, and then like being in pain too. She's all over the place.
Jump, jump.
Go run around, burn some energy. Where are you going? My kid's mom really, she's not help. I told her about it, and she's not like a help at all. I called my kid's mom, asked her if she was coming to get our daughter. She normally picks her up today. And it's always like a runaround with her. She kind of made it seem like it was a big deal for her to come get her. She was like, wow, I got to figure all this out. Figure out a babysitter, because I have to go to a wedding. Yeah, well, what time is the wedding at? I can't bring beer with me. Compromises, I have her 5 days a week. What do you mean compromises? Okay, this past week was the second time you took her more than the weekend. Change on your schedule, because I gotta work around this all the time, and you always say it's an inconvenience. When I have something coming up, I'll let you know ahead of time, like I told you. You know how much more expensive child support and all this would be? I don't get a day off either, man. When are you picking her up?
Gary, again, this is really personal stuff. How do you feel watching it now?
There is a little bit of regret. Actually reading the comments on YouTube, I was browsing through them, and a lot of people were like, it's something that you shouldn't be, a conversation you should be having in front of your daughter. Because kids, man, they're sponges, and they soak everything up, man. So there's a lot of regret that I have, and the way I was speaking to my kid's mother in front of her.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that as a parent, the idea of someone capturing my parenting on camera really kind of makes me cringe. And I would hate to have YouTube comments about my parenting because I'm sure we've all fallen short at some point or another.
Yeah.
Were you conscious of how your parenting would be perceived at the time when the camera was there in front of you?
No, to be honest, with everything going on at that time of my life, I was just so frustrated and overwhelmed with everything that I wasn't thinking about what was going on around me outside of, my anger and my frustration. I wasn't thinking about, how my daughter could absorb that or anything like that. I think that was right around the time too, where I kind of fell off of the map, and Pat couldn't get a hold of me, or anybody couldn't get a hold of me for maybe a month and a half.
And did you disappear in part because you just didn't want a camera there in your face as you were going through what you were going through?
Yeah, there was a lot of embarrassment, being ashamed, and now that I think about it too, it was a lot of like self-pity on myself. It wasn't something that I was comfortable at the time opening up about.
Does anyone here have anything to say just about this idea of Gary feeling ashamed? Patricia, it seemed like you were about to chime in there.
Yeah, I don't think he should feel ashamed at all because, for one, you're a full-time dad, and so many fathers can't say that. So you already doing enough with taking care of your daughter. I commend you for taking care of your daughter. Like you said, maybe the conversation in front of her you shouldn't have had, but parenting is, you learn as you go. You get better with time, you get better with as you raise her, and as you two grow together. So I just feel like you're doing an awesome job. Don't take pity. Sometimes we have the mom and dad guilt, and that's just because we're learning as we're going. And you know what I'm saying? Just stay positive, continue to take care of her and love her. As long as she's seeing that you loving her and you taking care of her, That's all that matters is your daughter. Nothing nobody else says. They don't know your story. They don't know what you've been through. They don't know your late night hours, how you feel when you by yourself with your daughter. It's hard as a mother taking care of a child. So it's kind of 10 times harder on the father because you all don't have the patience that we have. So I commend you, and just stay strong and just continue to take care of her, and don't even worry about what social media say because they don't know.
No.
So this was all filmed last summer. I think we should get a quick update from each of you. Gary, I understand you're expecting another child. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, February 4th.
Congratulations.
Thank you guys. Things have actually been going really well for me. I'm in a very healthy relationship.
All right.
We found our own apartment together. It's a nice 2-bedroom. My daughter has her own room. There's a room for when the new addition is born. It's right on the river. It's a nice place, reliable transportation. We're both employed. So there's a lot of good things have happened since then.
And Patricia, you're also expecting a child?
I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm expecting another little girl. December 12th is my due date. Actually, since the show, my husband's business have like bloomed. People that have watched the show on YouTube in different states, have contacted him for different orders. He have shipped different orders off. One of my managers, or one of my vice presidents of Catholic Charities, after they watched the documentary, she reached out to me, and she was just like, I didn't know none of this was going on. I sympathize with you. Anything you need, reach out to me. So she kind of like, looked out for me after she seen the documentary. My kids were all healthy. I did get a little raise at work as well this past month. And everything is just going fast. We still working on our home, working on purchasing our home. That's like in the making. Within the end of this year, I'm looking at us moving before we had a baby. So yeah, everything's great.
And you moved to Indiana. Are you happy with that decision? That's a decision a lot of Chicagoans have made to leave the city.
I love it. I'm staying out here. I'm not going back to Illinois.
And Andino, you are starting a new job?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I'm gonna start a new job at a pizza place. something brand new to me. Somebody gave me a chance here to be a line cook. So I'm gonna take the opportunity.
As a result of your participation in the series, viewers paid some of your legal fees?
Oh yeah. I actually had somebody open up a GoFundMe page and help me out with my legal fees, which was great. I mean, when they first told me about it, I was like, go ahead. I never thought anybody would donate any money for my legal fees, but yeah, I mean, I got it, I got the money in, and that was great.
And Melissa, your participation had a number of impacts. You were linked up with an organization called FII that offers basic income payments. Have you started getting those?
Yes, I did. Thank you so much to Ebony. She made sure it happened. And I did get it $400 every 3 months for like the next 2 years.
That's amazing.
That's a program Patricia was already linked up with.
Yeah.
And also, Melissa, someone from City Colleges reached out to you and was working with you.
Yes, the dean at the Wright College up the street from my house. They helped me set up my financial aid. They helped me register for school. So hopefully
all right. Congrats.
The only thing I need to do is take the placement test. They were really patient with me. They helped me make sure I had everything understood, took their time, made sure I had it all, where I didn't get frustrated, didn't get discouraged. They helped me so much. And then not so long ago, I had Calvin, who was sitting on the panel last time. He had somebody reach out to me. So now, hopefully, I will be opening another boutique. I did get offer for them to help me do a business home. And hopefully I'll be having we'll see coming.
You got it,
probably
girl.
in January. Yes.
Great news.
Great.
And my son just graduated from high school.
Oh wow.
Yes.
You got it grown.
Pat and Jessica, I said this the last time we were on a panel with Melissa. It's too bad that you have to go and talk to the media and appear in a documentary series to get the kinds of resources that Melissa and Patricia and Gary and Andino have all been linked up with. I guess that's more a comment than a question. Any thoughts about that? And is there anything we can do as media makers aside from featuring every American in a documentary?
Go ahead, Jess.
There you go.
Well, one thing, kind of related to that is to, think about the issues with trying to get somebody to see that there's something they're going to get out of participating. There's things that we want to say, hey, can we pay you for your story? You're giving so much and we're taking, but what are you getting back? And when we talked to you about doing this thing, it was basically, we were saying to you, okay, you've got a great story. People will want to hear this, and your story can make a difference for people. And, then we rely on, is that enough? But what's great is that ultimately participating in something like this, there are benefits that can come. And all of you experience that. And I'm so happy for you guys that, that you have reaped some rewards and it's been worthwhile. I hope to have been a part of something, that was really challenging.
And Pat, I would ask you if you've stayed in touch with everyone, but I know the answer because I saw a photo of you at Patricia's gender reveal party.
Yeah. One of the joys is keeping the relationship going that I have. And, I love it when you guys reach out to me and we get to reconnect. And, that experience that we went through together, it's not only intimate for them, but it's intimate for us too, because we share a lot about ourselves as well. And I think that we've created a bond together where we've been down the road with you, and I feel like I've been there at some of your hardest times. And I care about each one of you. You're all great people. Jess and I are so happy that we found you, and hope it continues.
Jessica, we touched on this earlier, but I want to come back to it. There are some hardcore journalists who would say a bond. He formed a bond with people who he's covering. You're not supposed to do that. What would be the argument that you would make as someone who believes in becoming friends with your subjects? What's the argument you would make for why that is valuable?
I think trust is everything in this relationship. Like, your subjects will be vulnerable, they'll be open, they'll give you more of themselves if they can trust you to do not necessarily what's right or what's wrong, but if they can trust you to tell the story that they are out to tell. As journalists, like, part of what we're doing is giving a voice to people, to the voiceless. We're sharing their stories, and there should be some, I think, agency over the story that they are telling, or we're telling. They are telling through us. So that's what I would say. I know that a few journalists might, frown on that sort of connection, but I think it leads to rich storytelling, which in the end will generate the empathy that Pat was talking about. When people can see themselves in the people that they're watching, then you can expand your mind, open your mind up a little bit. So I think that's a good argument. What do you think, Dan?
No comment. I'm going to remain objective. A final question for all of you. Words like poverty and poor are almost dirty words in America, but lately it seems like we're talking a lot more about poverty. The federal government is sending people checks with the express purpose of addressing poverty, which really would have seemed impossible a few years ago. Are we turning the corner in terms of our willingness to talk about and even address poverty?
Are we turning the corner and talking about it? I think we're talking about it more now, but personally, I don't think like the government's helping us really. You know, that's just my personal opinion. It's like the minimum wage. It's like what Melissa said, you know, some people are coming in at $15 an hour now, and here she is at $15 an hour, been there 10 years. So that now actually everything else goes up for us now too. You know, minimum wage went up, but gasoline prices go up. Bread and milk and eggs, none prices go up. So now in reality, the middle class is lowered. You understand what I'm saying? That's the way I look at it.
So the federal government has issued stimulus checks and now these child tax credit payments. Have you received those, Andino?
Personally, no.
You haven't? Okay.
No, I have not.
It doesn't help people.
I'm a victim of identity theft. So.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and the IRS, you can't get a hold of them. So I have not got one stimulus check. But I've been able to and grateful that I've worked the whole pandemic.
Yes.
You know, I had a job the whole pandemic, and you know, I'm grateful for that.
And a lot of so-called experts are saying that people aren't going back to work because they're getting these federal stimulus checks. None of you have made that decision.
On unemployment. They make more money being on unemployment. Yes, they make more money.
Not the stimulus.
Yeah, they pay people more money in unemployment than they do if they work. That's why people don't want to go back to work. They're giving them like an extra 700, 300 compared to us who's making $15 an hour.
They get an extra 400 every 2 weeks.
They get more money than us.
But everyone here has continued to go to work despite getting these payments, including you, Melissa. You're still going to Walgreens every day.
I never got a time off. I worked through the pandemic. I worked through the looting. I worked through everything. I never had a time where I can sit at home like other people had the options. Nope. I always worked.
And so what about my initial question? Are we feeling better these days as Americans about talking about poverty?
I feel better. I don't feel like it's something I have to shield myself from. If that's how I'm living, this is like he said before, we didn't know that we were living in poverty because our parents always made sure what we thought we need, we had. But when you grow up and you see the outside of what your parents try to keep you from, yeah, we know we didn't have maybe the best, but we made sure that we worked with what we had, and that's all we can do. So yes, I'm not ashamed to say I live in poverty. I'm not ashamed to say I'm in the poor class. I'm not ashamed of it.
That's a wonderful note to end on. Patricia, Melissa, Andino, and Gary, thank you for being here and for sharing all of your time and your stories with us. And Pat and Jess, thank you again for all of your hard work on the series. And thanks also to our members and funders for their support of this project. A reminder, you can watch the entire Firsthand Living in Poverty documentary series on the PBS app and at WTTW.com/firsthand, where you'll also find expert talks, text journalism, a discussion guide, and more. And thank you all at home for joining us. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good night.